Hello, I'm Tiffany Lewis, and today in the Cobb TV studio we have two very special guests, Chairman Mike Boyce and Rob Hozak. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Good to be here, Tiffany, again.
Well, Chairman, at this week's board meeting we had some major personnel appointments. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, thank you, Tiffany. We appointed Bill Volkman, who has been our interim finance director, permanent last night. Bill's done an outstanding job, and sadly it was on the heels of the loss of Jim Pearson, who was a terrific county employee and really was an example of what a model public servant is. But Bill is going to take his place now, and I know he'll do just as great a job as Jim did because Jim trained him. So we're really excited about Bill coming on board and being our new finance director and comptroller. The second is that we elevated Cassie Maslum to the position of Director of Emergency Management. Cassie is a police officer who has been leading emergency management for a number of years now, and we decided that given the new circumstances in America, sadly, we have to be very, very careful about, domestic terrorism, that it's time to highlight that position and affirm someone who's been doing that job for a long time, and Cassie will do a great job. And then, of course, I have this stranger next to me here. As I said, it was the worst kept secret in Cobb County history. Rob Hozak is our new interim director as a county manager. And the only reason I use the word interim is that, as you know, Mr. Hankerson retired, is going to retire this Friday. And we only had about 10 days to bring Rob on board. He was the universal candidate by the board members for our new county manager. It was a 5-0 vote, and it was 5-0 all the way along the line. We had to do some things to make sure that all the commissioners understood why we were doing when Rob was nominated, and also more importantly, Rob had to get the blessing of Mr. Hankerson. So it took us, a few weeks from the time we first proposed Rob to finally getting the 5-0 vote to make sure all the T's were crossed and all the I's were dotted. But Rob is our new interim county manager, and once we settle on the salary for that position, we'll take care of the interim and make him the permanent one. So that the only thing about the interim was things happened so fast we didn't have time to properly address all the personnel issues. But I really want to welcome Rob. I've known Rob a long time, and he's coming from actually the same position that Mr. Hankerson came from when he was promoted to county manager. It is next to the public safety director in this county, one of the largest departments that has a myriad of responsibilities. And since Rob handled that job so well and is so universally well respected by the business community and also by the government community, it's just like one of those things. It'll be a seamless transition. He was trained by Mr. Hankerson, so all we'll see is we'll have a new face, but we're going to do the same kind of great job by community development by the county government, because Rob came from there and he's just stepped up one notch. He's been preparing for this job, I'm sure, for a long time. So Rob, I want to welcome you to the county staff.
Chairman Boyce, thank you very much, sir.
It's a great team. So anything you'd like to say while you're here?
Well, first off, I would like to thank Chairman Boyce and the commissioners and Mr. Hankerson for giving me this opportunity. I think it is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I don't think there would be anybody that was in my position that would have turned it down, simply because you have a man that you respect greatly that gets elected, brings forward a major initiative to really take care of the employees, which I think is very, very important.
Thank you.
You have a board of commissioners that, are very open to doing new and innovative things, and I think they are just as committed as the chairman.
Absolutely.
To making sure that the employees are taken care of. And, you got Mr. David Hankerson, who serves as somebody's mentor for 20, 25 years, offers to make sure to stay in place, even with a new position, to kind of make sure that things get over smoothly. Cobb County really is a great community, and I think when you see people like Chairman Mike Boyce step up, David Hankerson step up, all of the commissioners have been more than willing to offer their support, and I think it's a community as opposed to a county government. So that being said, the thing that we did a couple of Friday nights ago, just to be able to kind of, I'm coming in on the easy part of it. We just got to get a few more restaurants and whatnot open. Mr. Hankerson and Commissioner Ott did a bang-up job on that. The fire marshal, as Chairman Boyce had mentioned last night, and Dana Johnson and his community development staff, really everybody, the health department, did a fantastic job. So being able to be part of something like that and assisting the board on, making the class and pay study a reality, once in a lifetime opportunity and something I would not miss.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and I think Rob also makes a good point. This transition plan was Mr. Hankerson's. He's the one that worked it out so that he could stay with us through the budget process. He has an institutional knowledge that is without peer. And as I worked with him over the last almost 4 months now, I really came to appreciate the depth and the breadth of his knowledge about this county. It's amazing where any issue pops up and he'll say things that give a context to it that you never would have appreciated unless you had a man of that experience. So he's the one that offered to stay with us through the budget cycle. I wanted him to stay longer, of course, because of that. But he's the one that's agreed to remain on a contractual basis. And that just speaks volumes about the kind of man that he is. He really loves this county. His legacy is going to be here forever. I doubt we'll ever have a county manager, of that caliber, because he actually took Cobb County from the 20th century into the 21st century. Rob isn't going to live long enough to take us into the 22nd century, so he doesn't have that challenge. But again, I just think that having Mr. Hankerson teaming with Rob over the next 6 months as we get the budget out of the way through 2018, people won't appreciate that because it's going to be done seamlessly. And as we all know, when you do it so well, people just take it for granted. And as I tell people, if people are taking our government for granted, that means we're doing our job. So I'm delighted about the fact that he and Mr. Hankerson have a long relationship. I'm delighted that he's coming from a department where he gets the culture of Cobb County, and I'm delighted that we have a candidate and a new county manager that the board passed 5-0 to be our new county manager. So I've seen nothing but great days ahead of us on that.
That's wonderful. Well, we talked about experience, and experience is very important. Rob, just tell us a little bit about your experience and any vision or goals that you have for the county.
Well, I think I benefited from being the planner or the planning division manager before I became the community development director. When you have to do the county's comprehensive plan, you get to visit with all the departments and kind of get a really good working knowledge of what they do and what their challenges are, what their mission is. So I think that is very exciting because I'll be able to do some different things. I feel it's kind of nice to have not a cushion, but knowing that you can rely on David Hankerson and his institutional knowledge. I think in a former life, Chairman Boyce has had to deal with budgets that are probably a little bigger than this one.
Small one.
So, and probably a little bit more bureaucratic than what we'll have to deal with. So I think between Mr. H, the board being very, very savvy, very experienced, Chairman Boyce having experience in the budgeting process, I just, again, an incredible opportunity to be involved in something, that I think is going to really, nobody has ever opened a stadium the way the Atlanta Braves opened a stadium in concert with Cobb County. And I'm doing the easy part because I'm coming in on the tail end, but I think there'll be just a whole lot of neat things that'll be, part of that. I guess as far as a vision goes, I just think that I have noticed, I've been back about 2.5 weeks, and you can tell that the employees are really excited because, there's a commitment to, that things are going to get better, and there's been recognition given and it's always been that way, but I think that this board has really gone out of their way to do that in the last 4 or 5 months. So everybody's kind of a buzz. I think it's between the excitement about the Braves. It's the excitement about all of the things that are coming forward. SPLOST stuff's going really well. We've launched a lot of new initiatives, so I just kind of look forward to working with the board and making sure that we put in place their vision, their policies, and the things that they are telling their constituents we want to move forward on.
That's wonderful. Well, having worked with you for 10 years, I can say the staff is excited to have someone with the experience that is a great person. So we're definitely happy to have you here.
Glad to be back. Thanks, Tiffany.
Well, Chairman, yesterday at the board meeting, the Board of Commissioners covered the topic of tethering, and you revised the ordinance. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I think it also goes to the larger issue of how I'm trying to, run the board and the hearings. As we all know, when I was elected, I thought it was very clear the voters were looking for a whole new fresh face and new look in this county government. And the reality is that without making it a big deal, we really do have almost a new face to this government. We have a new chairman. I brought Commissioner Cupid on as the new vice. We now have a new county manager. We have a new finance director. We have a new emergency management agency director, and very soon we're going to have a new police chief. So I think what we did last night was also that new way of the board. I was just delighted that there almost weren't enough seats last night for everybody that came to the meeting. And what I'm really particularly pleased about is that I think the public now knows that when you come to the board hearings, your voice is going to be heard. This is not, as I call it, kabuki theater, where everybody's standing up there going through the motions, but nothing's changing. And this tethering was a great example of that. In January, two ladies came to the board hearing and passionately argued for a revision of the tethering of the dogs ordinance. And I said, I think they got a point. So I asked Community Development to come up with an agenda item, and then a new way of doing business. We had Commissioner Weatherford and Commissioner Cupid as co-sponsors for this ordinance. And like I said here, if anybody would have told me, 9 months ago that Commissioner Weatherford and Commissioner Cupid would have co-partnered an ordinance, I'd have sat there and looked at you. But I think that reflects the tone of the board. We have a new way of approaching things. We hear the constituents. And so when we did our first public hearing, basically these two ladies had now formed, brought more supporters with them. And they said, your revision is unacceptable. So I said, okay, so let's just go ahead and extend the public hearing by another month until we get it right. And last night we got it right. The whole tone of how the public received our proposals, how we worked with them. So when they showed up at the meeting last night, I was absolutely expecting to have, a lot of opposition because we didn't go all to one. It's not an extreme, but it's all or nothing. I thought that some people want to have all or nothing. In the government, you can't have that. You have to have a middle ground, which is called consensus or compromise. And that doesn't mean you compromise your principles, but in order to move something forward, everybody has to win something, everybody has to lose something. And last night, what I saw were people who understood what we were trying to do with this board. We heard you, we made the changes. This is what we're proposing in order for us to enforce that ordinance. And the whole atmosphere last night was something of the board and the public working together to pass a revised ordinance that addressed a serious concern, meaning the tethering of dogs, all right? They had very articulate, good sound arguments as to why they want us to change it. And last night I thought it was a win-win for everybody. So I think what we have last night was a great example of not only have new people running this government, but we have a new relationship with the public, and they're willing to come to us and to work with us to produce something that produces a better Cobb, which is already a great Cobb. And so we revised the ordinance last night. Basically, you can't have any kind of unsupervised tethering. And that's in the best interest of this community, but also reflects an ordinance that is enforceable by our public safety, but also requires the public to be involved to help us to enforce this. So again, it was just a great meeting last night. I'm very happy with where we are. I couldn't say more great things about this board. The staff has always been fantastic. I'm excited the public is coming to our meetings. I know the board is not happy that we're going way past their bedtime for the meetings, but we're getting a lot done. And I use the word we. And we're getting it done because we have this terrific new sense, as Rob says, there's excitement in the air, there's a buzz, that if you come to this board, we will work with you, to make that happen. And I think right now, I see nothing but great things in the future about that, because we're all working together for a common cause. The board members all, even though we sometimes disagree, we can do it openly now, and we know it's not, the opposition is not personal. It's just that's just my principle. And as I've told every one of the board members, your job is to vote your principles. That way you don't have to worry about the future. And again, I just reflect on, there's so many things going on right now. It's kind of hard to keep all these balls in the air, but they're good balls. And we're going to have a great, we're going to finish out 2017, on a good note.
Wonderful. Well, a great project that we just wrapped up that was a great effort between the county and the community was SunTrust Park and the Battery. And we know that it's open, but the pedestrian bridge is only open during events in that area. So you want to tell us more about that, Chairman?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. The commitment was to get the bridge open for SunTrust Stadium, and so people could walk across from the Galleria to the stadium. But as people who walked across that bridge during the Braves home opener, they saw that it wasn't completely done all the way. And we emphasize safety in all our projects. So in order for us to finish all the light stands and the light and the safety rails and all the other stuff that's just temporary right now, we're going to be working through the spring and into early summer to put all those, to finish out the bridge. So the bridge will be open for events like Billy Joel concert, for all the ball games, all the ball games. And then when we don't have anything going on at the stadium, we will close it off, because you can park over at SunTrust Park. There's plenty of parking over there just to go to the Battery. But if the game is going on or something's going on instead, there's not enough. So that's why we open the bridge back up, make sure all the safety things are in place, and then when the event's over, we close it back down to finish off the work. But again, by the end of the summer, this will just be a long forgotten memory about some hiccup. But again, it just reflects our primary concern is the safety of people that use our facilities, and we'll do whatever it takes to make sure that happens.
Wonderful. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us again. We'll see you again next week.
Okay, Tiffany, always
Thanks,
a pleasure.
Tiffany.
Thanks.
Rob,
Enjoyed it.
welcome to the team.
Thank you, sir. Enjoyed it.
My pleasure.